are. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to do the best books of 2020. So I'm going to be doing this video probably every year at the end of the year from now. This is my first year with a booktube channel. So I'll be doing this video every year. Same with the video I just did, the worst and most disappointing reads. But with this video, I'll be doing it every year. Some books will stay on this video because I love them so much and I don't see them, and I can see them always being my favorite book. But some of them might get booted off because there are books that I like more than them now. I don't know yet. We'll see. There's also similar videos I want to do this month that I'm going to do every December from now on, like the best couples, best characters, and best friendships I want to do, and those will be, I will update them every year as well. So some will stay the same, some will stay on the list, some will be kicked off because there's more that I like a little bit more. So yeah. So right now I'm going to do best characters, or not best characters, what? No, best books of 2020. And there's at least one that you guys should not be surprised about at all. Let's be real. But I'll talk about that one last. So, okay, so one book is, where, I see the second book. Where's the first book? Oh, there it is. This. Witchnas. I absolutely love this duology, the only duology I've ever read. There's a couple duologies on my TBR list, so I will be reading a few more duologies, but I absolutely love this. I wish it wasn't duology. I wish there was more to it because I think they could do more to it, and I just love it so much, and I want to see more of Ziri and Brink's relationship. I want to see more of Brink, period, because I love him. He's amazing. I also love Ziri. I would love to see more of her. And basically, Ziri, Magic, they live in Oz, obviously, Oz, and Magic has been outlawed in Oz. So, but Ziri and her two of her best friends, Vashti and Tabitha, all have magic, and so does Ziri's crush's little brother Brink have magic. So they all kind of sneak off to practice magic in private because it's a part of who they are. That's one thing, because Ziri, I do love her, but sometimes she gets a little bit annoying because it seems like she's one of those girls that always have to have a crush and always thinking about her crush and this and that, which gets a little bit annoying. But she's also she is still a feminist icon. She is still very empowered because there's just a few quotes I like. There's this one quote I like. I'm probably not gonna get it word for word. It's been a while since I've read this, but she said, what did she say? She was like, it was like the magic, I don't remember how she said it, but I remember what she said. She's basically saying the magic is a part of us, and by taking it away, you're taking away who we are, or something like that. And I really like that because she fought for what she believed in. She fought for her magic. She fought for her friends. She fought for Brink. She fought the Emerald Palace of Oz. She fought all of her country for her magic, for herself and her friends. And it's just, yes, she can be annoying sometimes when she thinks about her crushes, even though I am a big shipper of her and Brink. But at the same time, she is very empowered because she will fight for her magic no matter what. And I do love Ziri. And this is definitely a series I recommend. That's one. Oh, I'm grabbing the second book because the first book is under a pile of books. But this is Return to Outlaws, sequel to Outlaws, which if you're a Descendants fan, you should definitely check out. I absolutely love this series. I'm currently rereading it. I just finished the third book, so I'll be rereading the fourth one soon. If and when my mom ever finishes it. She's not as much of a reader, so but I love this book. And if you're a Descendants fan from the Disney movies Descendants, then you should definitely check these out because these follow the same characters, but they're different storylines. Like there's a specific order. It goes Outlaws, Descendants, Return to Outlaws, Rise of the Outlaws, Descendants 2, Escape from Outlaws, then Descendants 3. That's the actual order, but I think a lot of people don't realize there are books to the Outlaws. There are books to the Descendants movies, so you should definitely check them out. In the first book, it was before the first Descendants movie, so it shows them on the Isle. Mel and Jay are already friends at this point, even though they won't admit it because you're not technically supposed to have friends on the Isle and all this. They are two of the biggest bads on the Isle, people you just don't want to mess with. And there's Carlos and Evie, who are a bit nicer, and if you've seen the movies, you understand the characters. So Mel and Jay doesn't like Evie and Carlos at the beginning, but then they go on this journey to find Maleficent Scepter because they're going to attempt at breaking out of the Isle, and on that they all have to do their own individual test to they all have their own individual test they have to do to get to the Maleficent's old fortress on the Isle of Doomed, which is in the barrier along with the Outlaws. And but at the end, they all end up becoming really close because of the journey they went on. Second book was they have to return to the Isle because they think their parents might find their escape routes because there are catacombs that lead from Ordon to the Isle, and but their parents are lost, so they have to find them. So they have to find a way to each one of their parents have this magical artifact, and each one of the 4 VKs have to find that artifact, and they all have to follow their own tests again, and then they have to close off the catacombs and make sure the villains stay on the Isle. So yeah, that's the first 2 books, and you should definitely check out this series if you are a fan of the movies. What other books do I want to mention? There's, where is it? Isn't it up here somewhere? Here it is. I'm so disorganized with my books. My mom is getting me a bookshelf for Christmas, thankfully. I don't think she won't be able to until January, but it'll be a late Christmas present. Can't wait. I'm going to do a video of me organizing my books on my new shelves. I don't know how many she's getting me. I'm hoping at least 2 because I have a lot of books and I'm getting a lot more. I bought so many books recently, so I'm still waiting for them all to come. I'll be doing an unhaul video. One of the books already came, but I'm waiting for a few more to come before I do the first unhaul video out of all of them, because I have a lot of books coming, so I'm probably going to split them into 2 unhauls, maybe 3, I don't know yet, we'll see. Probably just 2. But yeah, so waiting for all that to come. Yay! I bought 1 series, the Rotten Ruin series, and I also bought so much of the Warrior series. I almost have all of them now. I just need to finish getting the novellas, and then I have all the Warrior books, except for they have 1 more set of novellas coming in 2021 that's going to be published, and then there's the 7th arc is going to be published, I think, in 2021 as well, so I'll have to get those once they come out. So yeah. But anyways, this is Everlast, the first book of the Skin Jacket Trilogy. I'm in love with these books. I'm not doing this in order, by the way, because I think it would actually go Outlaws, then Witchnas, then probably this. Actually, Witchnas and Skin Jacket Trilogy is kind of neck and neck, honestly. And then there's the Effigies Trilogy after this, and then after that I'll probably go in order. So this is amazing. I love it. It's about Allie and Nick, who both die, literally in the first chapter. They die. So that's one way to start a series, right? But then they wake up in Everlast, which is basically purgatory. It's in between life and death. They meet Mary Hightower, who... Moving on, because I do not want to get into a Mary Hightower rant right now, because she is the worst book character I've ever read out. Even worse than Umbridge, which there was a time when I thought that was impossible. And every time I mention her, I end up in a 10-minute rant about how much I hate her. And I really don't want to do that again. So, moving on. Basically, they meet Mary Hightower, and then Allie ends up getting Nick and someone they met at Everlast. He doesn't remember his name because in Everlast, after you've been there for a while, you start to forget your name and who your life beforehand. So since they found him I can't speak around a bunch of trees, Allie decides to call him Leaf. So the three of them go and try to find the Haunter. I think that's how his name was, the Haunter. But who is known for being able to have the gift of pulling things out into the real world and into Everlast. And there's also these sink spots. Like in Everlast, you can only walk on places that are dead in the real world, like a dead forest or a place that was burnt down or something. Those are called dead spots, and ghosts can walk on those. But if you try to walk on a place that is living, then you have to, then you keep sinking. So you have to be very careful. And if you sink to the center of the earth, you're supposed to never be able to come out again. There is one person that was managed to come out, but you meet him in the middle of this book, Mikey McGill, and but yeah, Allie turns out to have that gift as the hunter, and he kidnaps Nick and Leaf and put them in pickle barrels. And, so Allie ends up coming back to save them when she finds out they're gone because the McGill took them. So then she has to go and invade the McGill's boat ship. She finds out she's a skinjacker, which means she's basically the art of possession. And in the second book, she finds out why she can possess people. But that's a bit of a spoiler, so I don't want to spoil you too much, not in this at least. I made a spoilery review, so if you don't care about spoilers or you want to know more, then check out my reviews for each book, Everlost, Everwild, and Everfound. I don't do spoiler-free reviews, so all my reviews are pretty spoiled. So yeah. But yeah, so they go on this big journey, and then and then they defeat the McGill, and then in the second book they have to, a new enemy rises, which is Mary Hightower, because she's terrible, and so there's a new war coming to Everlast, and the real world kind of gets sucked into a war that they don't even know about that is happening. So yeah, it's a really interesting trilogy. I highly recommend it. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite books of all time. My favorite series is, and I do highly recommend it. Okay, so this is actually a standalone, sort of. I'm not big on standalones, but I do love this book, so I'm gonna go ahead and mention it. Hocus Pocus in the all-new sequel. I'm sure you guys know of the Hocus Pocus movie. If you've never seen it, I'm sure you at least heard of it because it's that popular. Kind of like Harry Potter, you know. And the first half is just like the movie, just about word for word, exactly like the movie. But then in the middle of it, I can find it. Here it is. See? Part 2. "25 years later." See? 25 years later is about Max and Allison's daughter Poppy, who's heard these stories, and that's why they don't really celebrate Halloween anymore, except for this year. They're celebrating Halloween again. And but then she is always skeptical about the stories. Her best friend Travis knows about it, and her crush Isabella. This book I love. That's another thing I love about this, because it vaguely mentions that Poppy is, well, a lesbian, but it doesn't make it out to be a big deal. They don't mention it every 5 minutes like some, and it doesn't feel forced. You know, it's just they treat it like any other romance in any other book, and I love that about it. And that's one reason why I love their this relationship, because they treat it like they treat every other couple, and like lesbian and gay relationships should be treated like normal, you know, like it's not a big deal, like it's not out of the blue or something, I don't know. But so basically 3 of them end up raising the witches, of course, and because I say this every time I read or watch something like this, but it's the skeptics that are going to get the rest of us killed, because we're smart enough not to raise witches. It might be a legend, but it might not be, and I am a believer, and it's the skeptics out in the world that's going to get the rest of us killed. Rant over. But so they end up also getting help from Katie, who is I want to say his name is Jay's daughter. I think Jay was, I might be wrong, but I want to say that's his name. Those two bullies in the first movie who bullied Max, I want to say it was the blonde hair guy. His daughter Katie helps them. And Katie always kind of bullied Poppy, but then she ends up apologizing and they end up getting together. And it turns out she was just jealous because Isabella and her used to be friends, but then Isabella's kind of ditched her to start hanging around with Poppy, which you find out is because Isabella has a crush on Poppy, just like Poppy has a crush on Isabella. And they get together at the end. It's really sweet. I love that. But the witches start to make people disappear and bring back other witches, because they use a different spell than the one they used in the first one to bring them back. And so Max, Allison, and Danny end up trading places with Winifred, Sarah, and Mary. So the three of them were in hell while the three of them were now on Earth. And they started making other people go to hell to bring back other witches, including their mother. And there's also a good witch who comes back in spirit form, along with Binks and his little sister. What's her name? Emily. I should have known that. Binks and Emily come back in spirit form too to help them. Turns out Isabella's actually a witch, which she never knew because she's a descendant of Elizabeth. And so yeah. So they end up having to stop them and save everyone that was thrown into hell. And so yeah, fun. But I actually love this book, and I can't wait to reread it. This is probably going to be something I'm rereading every October. Actually, it's something I might just reread whenever I get in the mood, because, like, seriously. But yeah, this was a good book, and I can definitely see me rereading it several times because it's just so good, and I loved it. Next is the Effigies Trilogy, which is also one of my favorite series of all time. It follows Maya, who finds out she's the next fire effigy, and there's a new war coming about, and she finds herself in the middle of the war, even though she just became an effigy. And so they have to find the other effigies. Belle's already there, trying to greet her. I don't like Belle. She's the water effigy, and then they meet. They have to find Che-Rin, who is the earth effigy, and Victoria, who is the air effigy. I love Victoria. She is one of my all-time favorite characters. She is a cinnamon roll. I love her. So the four of them have to work alongside the sect who they kind of work for, because effigies have to fight off phantoms, which are basically twisted spirits, until this new guy comes and is a war that none of the effigies have ever seen before. And so they have to fight Saul, and because he has effigy-like powers, which is impossible because there's only supposed to be 4 effigies and they're all supposed to be female, and and they have to kind of go Maya has to go to the past to find out, because when one effigy dies, they don't move on like most people. They go into inside of the next effigy for their element. So she has to they call it scrying. She has to scry to get into the past. And since Natalia was the previous fire effigy, she's the easiest one to find her memories. But the first fire effigy is the hardest. You have to go through all the other effigies, and she eventually has to do that. And there is a love interest, Aiden, who works for the sect. He's made mistakes, but he is still a good person, and I absolutely love him. I love Maya and Aiden together. They are perfect together, and so yeah. So they have to defeat Saul, and there's a huge cliffhanger in the end of book 2, and I'm still not over it because, oh my gosh, that was something else. That was just something else altogether. I'm not even joking. So yeah, this is definitely an amazing read, and I do highly recommend it, and I think you guys should all check it out if you like witches, because they never technically call themselves witches, but to me, anyone who has magic is a witch. I don't care who you are. If you have magic, then I consider you a witch. So I consider them witches, even if their only magic is the elements. Just like Ziri and all of them in Bewitched and Oz, they are witches. And just like Dorothea in the Stormmakers Trilogy, which I'm not going to mention on here because I do love that series, but I don't consider it a favorite. But she's a witch. Even if they don't call themselves witches, I consider them witch. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but yeah. So this is definitely one you guys should pick up. I have to mention Harry Potter because I love Harry Potter. I love the books, I love the movies. I haven't read the books in a while though, so I'm planning on rereading them soon. And I absolutely love them. They deserve so much more love and attention. Okay, probably not because they're like really popular. Like Harry Potter is one of the things that it's just so popular to the point where it's like even if you haven't seen the movies or read the books, you still know the name. That's how popular it is. Kind of like Hocus Pocus. Even if you haven't seen it or read it, you still know the name because that's how popular it is. And I love Harry Potter, and I love the characters. My favorite female is Ginny. My favorite male is Ron. And I don't really even need to explain what this is about because even if you haven't read or seen it, you know what it's about, at least a little bit. Let's be real. And I love it so much. Ginny and Ron, I love Ron and Hermione's relationship, Ginny and Harry's relationship. I love Neville and Luna and Lupin, and I love them all. And it's just such an amazing series, and I can't wait to reread it. And I love it. So yeah. Okay, so next I was debating if I wanted to, what else I wanted to mention, but I don't think I'm going to mention it because I do love them, but I don't think I consider them a favorite. So next, there's two more series I'm going to mention. One of them is, I'll see the first book here. Oh, here it is. Warriors by Aaron Hunter. This is my second all-time favorite series, even though it's not fantasy, and it's just really amazing. It's about a clan. There's 4 clans in the forest of cats, and they're warriors, and they have to become apprentices at one point or another to become warriors. And it's been a while since I read it, and I haven't even finished it yet. I've read the first arc, the second arc, and then one of these super editions, but I just bought a whole bunch of warrior books. I almost have the complete series, so I'm going to be rereading what I've already read and then read what I haven't read pretty soon. And yeah, so I'm excited about that. So yeah, and this book follows, the first arc follows Firestar, who is was actually a house. He didn't start out as Firestar. He didn't become Firestar until he became clan leader, which is actually a spoiler, but oh well. But he started out as Rusty, a house cat, until Grey Paw found him. It's really hard to call them by their previous names when I'm so used to their names now. But Firepaw, so he ends up becoming a forest cat, and he became Firepaw, and then he became Warrior and became Fireheart, which I love that name. It just works so much better. Until he became clan leader, he became Firestar. And then his love interest was Sandstorm, and I absolutely shipped them together. And his best friend's Grace Drive, and I love their friendship. Second arc is about Firestar and Sandstorm's daughters, Leafpool and Squirrelflight, and I love Leafpool's relationship with Crowfeather and Squirrelflight's relationship with Brambleclaw. Just had to throw that out there. But Leafpool is one of my favorite characters as well. She is just such a cinnamon roll, so sweet and so kind, so loyal and so amazing. But yeah, there's a lot of books, but they're really good and they're definitely worth a read, so I do highly recommend them. Here is the first book to Secrets by Erin Hunter, my all-time favorite book. And if you've been following my channel for a while now, then you should not be surprised, not even a little bit. I talk about Secrets all the time. I'm obsessed with it. Secrets is my life and my heart and my soul and my everything. I'm obsessed. My favorite character is Kalik, which is her, and it follows Kalik, obviously, and Toklo and Lusa and Udrak. Kalik is on a journey to find her brother after her mother died, and then Toklo is by himself because his mother abandoned him. Then Lusa actually met Toklo's mother and promised. I'm doing a video. And Lusa actually she's not a wild bear. She was born and raised in the bear bowl, which is what we call a zoo. So she escapes because she meets Toklo's mother and promised to tell Toklo that she's sorry and that she loves him. So she went to do that. And then Toklo meets Udrak, who doesn't really remember his past at all. He's a shapeshifter, so he can shapeshift into whatever he wants, but he prefers to be a brown bear. And so yeah. And my favorite thing about the series is, well, one is their characters, because I love each character, even though Kalik is my favorite. But the main thing about the series is their friendship. They're willing to die for each other. They were willing to do anything for each other. Their friendship is the most important thing to all of them, and it's amazing because they are so different. And like when they go to like Great Bear Lake twice for the gathering, which happens I think once a year, and where each bear comes, each type of bear comes to basically make an alliance and not make an alliance, like to keep the peace, I guess you can say, because bears don't really get along too much with other types of bears. And but every time they go to one of these, which they did it twice, once in the first arc and once in the second arc, both times everyone looks at them funny because they come together because they're friends, and because you're not supposed to be friends with anyone that's not your species or your type, you know what I mean. And it's also a book about their self-discovering of who they are and where they belong in the world. But the friendship is my favorite part. It does show some couples, because Kalik and Yukon are on a lot towards later on, and then Lusa and Miki's on a few times, and Toklo and Ayana a few times. But the main thing is their friendship, and I absolutely love it. And they've all been through so much. Kalik and Toklo's been through a little bit more than Lusa and Udrak. Kalik a little bit more than Toklo, if you ask me, because I mean, Toklo meets Udrak in the middle of this book, and then Lusa meets them at the end of the book. But Kalik doesn't meet them until like the middle or the. It wasn't really the end, but I want to say it's a little bit after the middle of the book, when maybe it is the middle, I don't remember. But that's when she finally meets them, and it's really sad because she was alone for so long, and it makes me sad because she deserves so much love and she's been through so much. But yeah, so their friendship is just amazing, and I'm in love with it, and I love their characters, and they're also different, not just by appearance but by personality, but they make it work. And the most important thing to them is their friendship, and I love it, and I love them, and it's just so beautiful to watch or to read, and I absolutely love it. I love all of it, and it's just something so amazing. And I could go on and on and on about Secrets all day. It's the one book I mention constantly so much. I mention it all the time, so you're all probably tired of me saying it by now. But oh well, because I'm never gonna stop talking about Secrets. Let's be real, it is my favorite book of all time, and I honestly don't think it's ever gonna change. I'm like 100,000% sure that it's never gonna change because I'm in love with this series so much. So yeah, that's fun. Please like and subscribe and comment your best books of this year, and we'll talk later.